and we'll be working with the back body. So some of the focus will go into the hamstrings, the back of the leg, but I'll kind of view the back body as this one connected unit. So we'll start on the back, and you can keep your feet on the mat. You could take a little moment to wiggle, so you could feel maybe rolling your head from side to side and just kind of feeling the back body this time, kind of the upper back and the sacrum area on the ground. And we always want to start with a little moment of checking in. So at one point, once you've wiggled, once you've found a comfortable position, just taking a couple of breaths here, whether your eyes are open or closed, to just sense what's in the foreground. What can you notice? Your body's relationship to ground. Where can you sense your breath most clearly? Giving it a couple of more rounds of breath, maybe a little bit of a fuller breath in and a breath out through the mouth. And then I'll take the right leg, so my left foot is going to stay on the mat. And I'll bring it a little bit closer to the chest so that I can use my hands to kind of just hold onto the leg just slightly. And I'll start to straighten and bend the knee. And I'll only straighten the knee to a point where I start to feel the back of the leg, so I don't go into like an intense stretch. And then I'll bend the knee again. Now what you'll do is when the knee starts to straighten, you're going to start to also push the heel upward and the toes downward, so flexing the foot. And when you bend the knee, I'm going to point the foot. So when the heel gets closer to the palm, the foot is pointed. So there is this knee bending action and this ankle action that is happening together. And then I want you to really slow it down. This is a nerve flossing practice. So our nerves are also sliding within this fascial casing. And so one of the reasons why we might sometimes feel tight is actually this fascial casing tightening around the nerves. So we'll do this little nerve flossing for the back of the leg. And the next time when your knee is straight-ish, so remember I'm only coming to a point where I start to feel the back of the leg. I'm going to hold it there, so some knees are going to be straight, some knees are going to be bent. And then do the ankle movement of pointing the toe and flexing the foot. And just do it slowly enough so you can feel where you feel the stretch. Back of the leg and the front of the leg. Keep the shoulders relaxed and the jaw relaxed. And then keep the foot relaxed and begin to point the toes outward. So the whole leg is going to roll outward, and then begin to point the toes inward. Now, as you do that next, when the toes point out, just notice where do you feel that along the whole kind of the back of the leg. Where do you feel sensation? So pause for a moment. And then do the same when the toes are pointing in. So you again really bringing a lot of awareness to the sensations that the movements are creating. And do this just one more time. It's not about the amplitude of the movement, but really being able to feel where do you feel the movement. And one more internal rolling of the leg. Perfect. And then I'm going to hug the knee to my chest. So the hands are going to interlock around the knee. And I squeeze the knee in towards the chest however far it can comfortably come. So your lower back is going to round a little bit. And then I'm going to push the knee away from the chest. The hands are going to stay interlocked around the knee. I push the knee into the hands and I round my lower back away from the ground. So the lower back is arching. So the lower back is now contracting. And go a few times like that. So bring the knee towards the chest and let your lower back flatten onto the ground. So the lower back is broadening. And then as I push the knee away from the chest and into the hands, I arch the lower back away from the ground. So that lower back area, part of the back body. So nothing in body works in isolation. So even when I'm working with the backs of the legs or the tightness that I feel in the backs of the legs, I'm also want to pay attention to the surrounding areas. So I'll do one more of this arch and flatten with the knee coming towards the chest and away from the chest. And then lastly, what we'll do here is we'll take the right ankle across that left thigh into the threading the needle shape. And then just kind of feel for a moment here. Some of you might feel a stretch in the buttocks here already, or begin to bring the left thigh towards your chest so the right hand can come from the center, left hand can come from the outside, and maybe interlocking the hands in front of the shin behind the hamstrings where you can reach. And then spend a couple of moments here. You could be still, or you could be kind of rocking a little bit from side to side to again feel the different flavors. And so the buttocks and the hamstrings, they have some of their functions, what they do are similar. And your buttocks kind of cover the upper part of the hamstring attachment, so you'll feel this one in your bum. So I'll take a couple of more breaths here, just investigating. I'm not going to my intensest possible stretch here, just finding some mild sensation, adding some soft breath, and then also again, just checking that the shoulders can relax, the jaw can relax, the eyes can stay soft. Let's give it one more breath. Really feel the inhale. Stay with the slow, steady exhale. And then see if you can unhook the right foot, so the right foot can now come onto the mat and we can work the same sequence through the left leg. So I'm holding the left thigh slightly as I straighten the left knee and flex the foot, point the toes down, and then pointing the foot. So dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. And remember, I'm moving slowly. Maybe you can even sense this little bit of like a flossing action through the back of the leg. So on the way down, the foot to the toes point. On the way up, the heel is pressing away. And then next time, when we have the knee straight-ish, where I feel a mild stretch, I'm going to do the pointing and flexing from this position, but slowly enough so that I can really connect and feel the front and the back of that lower leg, the muscles being stretched, alternately stretching and shortening. And then next time when the toes are coming down, just keep them in a relaxed position and do the rotation outward to the left and inward to the right. But then bring your attention next time when the foot moves outward. Where do you feel? Like there's a pathway through that leg. Where do you feel the sensation? So that the hamstring fibers, there's several muscles within that group. And so we want to work the center, the belly, but also want to feel, okay, more internal fibers, more towards the outer leg fibers. And then eventually hugging the knee to your chest, interlocking the hands around the knee, drawing the thigh into your chest, and feel your lower back pressing onto the ground. Maybe your tailbone lifts a little bit off the ground, lower back broadens. Then press the knee into your hands, and as you do that, arch the lower back away from the ground. You could synchronize it to the breath. You could be exhaling when you hug the knee in, and you could be inhaling when you push it away. See how that feels. Or maybe you're moving really slow and you want to take several breaths. That's fine too. But feel your lower back area. So the same thing here. One action is broadening the lower back, and the other action is creating contraction in the lower back. See if you can sense and feel that. And then lastly, we'll take the left ankle over the right knee in that threading the needle position. There is totally valid option if you feel already a stretch in your left bum here. You don't have to bring that right thigh in. If you're not feeling much and you want to explore more the sensation around that left buttock area, then feel free to bring the right thigh in. And we'll give it a nice round of 4 or 5 breaths. Feel free to explore. Can you settle at an intensity that feels mild and where you can soften your jaw and your eyes? Allow for some exhale to soften even more the areas that are not really needing to be doing anything right now, like your eyes, like your forehead. So give it another 2 rounds of breath. Perfect. And then slowly beginning to let go. Take both feet onto the mat. Just lengthen the legs if that is at all comfortable for you for a moment. If not, keep the feet on the mat and just feel for a moment. Just feel the contact to the ground. Maybe your legs, the back, feel of the backs of the legs, and whatever else makes itself known right now. So giving it another breath in here. This integration moment. And then I'll bring my right foot onto the mat and I wiggle a little bit over to the right side of my mat. I'm using this technique to turn over onto my belly. I'll take the left hand up above so that I can press my right foot down and begin to roll over my side and over onto my belly. And then you might do a little bit of a shuffling to get yourself back to the center of the mat. And so we'll do a little practice now here that really helps you to engage the back body. So again, moving slow with a lot of attention. So I'm going to rest my right hand on top of the left hand and then forehead to the back of the hands. And then connect to your left leg first. Feel your left leg and tuck your left toes under. And begin to press the left heel away, so your left knee and the front of the left thigh will come off the mat, but keep your left hip bone pressing onto the mat. Relax both shoulders, and now remind your right leg that the right leg can stay relaxed on a holiday. And just feel the back of that left leg. So the front of the thigh is a bit active, but also feel this action through the back of the left leg. Take a breath in. Take a slow breath out. And then for a moment, relax that left leg again onto the ground. Just feel that completely passive. And then we'll do this one more time. So we tuck the toes under. You're going to lift the thigh. The kneecap is maybe even, you could draw the kneecap up a little bit. Push the left heel away. Nothing much has left the ground. The left toes are right on the mat still. Take a breath in. And then slowly begin to lift the left heel upward. Doesn't have to be high. I want you to just try to feel, where do you feel the action of the movement? And keeping the lower back as relaxed as possible. This is the part that kind of can come in and say, I'll do it. And we want to really feel it more in the bum and the back of the leg. And then do a little bit of pulsing. So little mini pulses up and down. So that can also help to connect and feel the muscles that are contracting and doing the action. And once more, relax the shoulders and the right leg as much as possible. Take a breath. And then pause the pulsing, point the toes, see what changes, and then point the toes down, push the heel away. Do that one more time slowly. Point the toes, and then push the heel away. Then relax the ankle and lower the leg as slowly as you can, so to the count of 5 at least. So this is the part the muscles have been contracting, and then we slowly release that contraction, and then when you feel the ground under the leg, can you now relax it completely? Just feel that. So this is an important part. Completely that left leg relaxing. Take a breath in. Take a slow, steady breath out. Perfect. And then we'll do one more lift, but this time you're going to lift the right forearm, so your head is on the back of that right hand, right? So when the left leg is going to start to lift, your upper body, the right forearm, the right hand, and your head are lifting as well. And I'm not pressing down through that left forearm. Lift only as high that, again, you feel no complaints in the lower back area. Relax your right leg. Take a breath in, and then lower as slowly again as you can, so at least to the count of 5. So we're releasing that action from that back body diagonal slowly. And then again, when the arm and the leg come to the ground, just see how passive you can let everything flop. We'll do this just one more time with a lot of awareness. I want you to lift on the inhale. So let the breath come in first. Let the first lift be on the inhale. And then again, find the height that works. Pause, stay, and then begin to move your elbow to the right and your left leg to the left. So they kind of diagonally move away from each other slowly. Normal breaths here. This doesn't have to be done to the breath. Back through the center. And then a slow lowering. The leg and the arm on the ground, soften everything. Everything becomes passive. Take again a conscious breath in, feel your ribs on the ground. Empty it out, and then switch the hands around, so have your left hand come on top. Tuck your left toes under. Right toes under, so we're going to the other diagonal, right toes under. And then begin to lift the knee, the thigh off the ground, reach back through the right heel. So try to again, just feel what you feel. Relax the shoulders. Feel the back of the leg, the back of that right leg, and see how much you are able to convince the left leg to relax. Let's let the right leg come passive for a moment so you feel that as well. And then come and tuck the toes again. Same action. Make sure your right hip is pressing down, so you're not lifting that right hip bone off the ground. As you press the right heel away, begin to slowly lift that right heel up. Again, shoulders relax. Doesn't have to be high. And again, lower back, not just kind of sense that it's not the part that's doing the lifting majorly. Give a little bounce up and down. See if that can get you really sense the hamstring and the glutes and on that right side. And then point the right toes. Notice what changes. And then point them down, push the heel away. Notice what changes. Do that one more time. Good. And then relax the ankle and see if you can lower the leg slowly while you stay connected to, again, the sense of the muscles and the back of the leg. They contracted as you lower. And then once you feel the leg finding the ground, also really be with the sensation of, okay, this is what relaxation feels like. This is when I don't have tension in the back of the leg. And then feel that diagonal from that right leg to the left upper back. And we'll do the diagonal lift. So the back of your forehead is going to be on the back of that left arm. Wait for your inhale as your left forearm and right leg are going to lift. First we just feel, again, relaxing the left leg and the right arm. The opposite diagonal is relaxing and then slow lowering. So we find the contraction in the muscle, we feel and bring our mind to it, and then we slowly release the contraction. Is a way of reprogramming the muscle, nervous system, brain connection. Relax all the way down onto the ground, take a breath. And then we did one more with that little side movement. So wait for your inhale to begin to lift you, so you move at your own pace. Find the height that works. And then we move the right leg over towards the right and the left elbow towards the left. A little side movement. They come back in. And then they slowly lower. No, so as you lower, slow that down even more. When again you feel the ground under the arm and the leg, relax it completely. Taking again a moment of breath, a moment of noticing, settling the weight of the body downward. Then have a little wiggle through the hips. We're going to tuck both toes under, lifting the knees, the thighs off the ground, reaching back through the heels so you feel both legs, and then feel your pelvis really heavy and dropping so your pubic bone drops down. Then begin to climb up onto your forearm so you take a sphinx shape. So again, if it feels too much for the lower back, feel free to untuck the toes. Let your shoulder blades climb down so you feel the back body is now shortening. Feel that. Take a breath. And then slowly let your thighs come down, point the toes away. Stay in the sphinx shape. Maybe you need to take the legs a bit wider. Feel that your lower back is happy. You can press the pubic bone down. See how much you need to press it down so the lower back feels spacious. Give it another breath in. Give it another breath out. And then let your chest begin to lower so you can drag the arms back, but keep the arms hovering under the shoulders, and then keep your chest lifted for one more moment so your now back muscles are working again at a height that is not taxing your lower back too much. First, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Tops of the feet into the mat. Feel that action in the legs. And then lift the legs up. So you have, again, the hamstrings and the back of the legs active. So the whole back line active. One more breath. And then slowly again lower. Keep the hands under the shoulders. Meet the ground. Melt for a moment into the ground. And then begin to press the hands down to lift yourself to all fours. Take the hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips, and round the back. Keep the back rounded, curl the tailbone under, breathe into that back space. And then exhale, let the buttocks float back towards the heels. You can keep the hands reaching forward. If you are now faced away from your screen, then you could come to all fours and do a little walk and turn around if you need to. Otherwise, we're going to start to come up to all fours with a rounded back on an inhale, lifting chest, lifting sit bones, and then letting the bum float back towards the heels on an exhale. So we're going to find now a little bit more flow and this kind of watery movement. And we're working with the spine and upper body section of the back body. So a couple of more rounds. Good. And then I'll meet you on all fours. You're going to take the right leg long and the toes are going to tuck under. You feel your hips kind of squaring to the ground, so I'm not lifting that right hip up. And then I lift the right heel up towards the ceiling. I do a little bounce with the straight leg here, just like we did on the back. And then come to bend the knee, see how that feels. So that brings the hamstring a little bit more online. Try to again keep the hips square, so you're neither dropping nor lifting, and do a little bounce, the heel up towards the ceiling here. And that again can connect us to the bum and the hamstring on the back of that leg. Now hug that knee to your chest, round the back, and step your right toes onto the mat to the right of that left knee. So it comes kind of you can find that distance and begin to send your left bum back towards the left heel. So the whole back body, again, the lower back, upper back, that feels the stretch and the broadness. Breathe into this shape. Relax your jaw as you exhale. Take one more breath here. Perfect. And then come back. Shoulders on top of the wrist. Walk the hands a little bit away so your right foot can step forward. My hands are now on the inside. And so then we'll flow hips towards the ground and then starting to straighten through that right knee. So we're going to go a few times, feeling now into the back of the leg through this movement forward and back. This is where you can use your blocks if you have them handy, and also your right knee doesn't have to go all the way straight. Next time when the leg is straight or straight-ish, draw the toes up and then point the toes. Draw the toes up, feel that, point the toes. And then next time when the toes are coming up, roll the toes in and roll the toes out. One more. Roll the toes in. Roll the toes out. And then come with the foot back on the ground. Take your right hand behind your head and lift your elbow up towards the ceiling when you're in that lunge position. Now when you start to straighten the right leg, point the elbow down towards the ground as if you want to take the elbow towards your left knee. So we're going to play also with some diagonals. So you come forward, elbow lifts. When the knee straightens, the elbow draws down towards the ground. And you're going to find the exact trajectory how the elbow moves by sensing what do you feel. Where is there kind of a sweet stretchiness across the back, in the back of that shoulder blade. Let's go one more. Inhaling. Exhaling. And then next time when you're forward, bring the hands on either side of that right foot. Tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, and then little bend in the back knee so you can bounce and bring the left foot forward to the top of the mat. I'm going to bend both knees generously. Again, if you have blocks, hands could be on blocks. And then I'm going to straighten the right knee, and it doesn't have to go all the way straight. So I'm still working with the back of that right leg. So find the, again, appropriate intensity, not too much. Breathe into the pathway that you can sense. Walk your hands a little bit away from that right leg over to the left and see what changes. Again, give it a couple of breaths. Beautiful. Soften the right knee as you bring yourself back to the center, and we're going to curl up. So knees are soft, head is heavy. As if you're almost sitting in a chair, you're going to start to press down through the feet and rolling up. So the back body is pulling you upward, upward, upward. And then once you're standing, take your time getting there. If you're slower than me, that's great. And just have a little wiggle. Feel that right side. Maybe sense the right foot, hip, waistline, shoulder. And then find a distance for your feet. We're going to come up onto the tippy toes so that, you feel that your balance is optimally supported by the leg distance. If it's comfortable, bring your arms up. Feel the the soles of the feet. And then you could bring the palms together, and we're going to lower the heels really slowly, and the hands could lower down through the midline. So how slow can you lower the heels? How slow can you lower the heels? And then once they're on the ground, keep lowering by bending the knees. Keep lowering by bending the knees. And at one point you could let the hands go. They don't have to be in prayer. I'm in a easy chair position with a little bounce in it. I'm not lifting my tail, I'm not tucking my tail, so I kind of feel my sit bones widening. And then slowly I want to transfer that bounce to my right leg. So I'm going to lift the left heel off. Maybe if you're struggling with balance, keep the toes on the mat. Otherwise you could bring that left knee up, and you keep bouncing on that right leg, for a moment. And then slowly, maybe you even keep bouncing when you send the left leg back, and the toes are just going to tap onto the mat, and then you bring the knee back in. I'm going to lean forward, feel what's working in that right side as I tap the toes, and then I bring the knee back in. Play with that a few more times, and this could be a slow motion, or sometimes I like to play with speed. I'm going to bring it in more quickly. So I'm giving lots of different stimulation. Or slowly. And then next time when the toes are on the ground, settle them there and let the back foot come completely onto the ground. We're going to come to a pyramid pose. So my feet are hip distance. My hips are more or less facing forward. You can bend into that front knee. If you had your blocks, they could still be here. I find my hip hinge, so I'm not coming forward from here. Maybe you even tap your hands onto the hip crease, so you feel your pelvis is rolling over that right thigh bone as you come forward. At one point, the hands are going to come onto the ground, so the knee can stay however bent it needs, so maybe blocks under the hands. And let's take a little moment. So this one is, again, more stretchiness to the back of that right leg. Release the back of your neck. And do a couple of nods, really tiny nods, with your chin coming more in and away from the chest, because that back line is connected all the way to the base of your neck from the soles of the feet. There's this connection there. Maybe even a little circling with your nose. Again, what can soften here? What do you sense? Give it one more breath. Beautiful. Then soften the right knee a little bit more. Step the left leg a wee bit more back, so you can step the right leg back, and we're in downward facing dog. If downward facing dog feels a bit too much today, take your knees down and do a little wiggling movement from there, from all fours. I'm going to wiggle from downward facing dog. You could one last time connect to the back of that right leg by pressing the right heel down and bending into the right knee. The thing that feels good in my body always is to point the right toes a little bit out to the right, so the heel comes more towards the midline, and then I'm having that angle with the left knee bent. Perfect. And then let's lower the knees down. Take the bum back towards the heels for a moment. Hands are forward. Take a couple of spinal waves from here. Come forward with a rounded back. Lift chest and sit bones as you move back. Bum back towards the heels. And then I'll meet you on all fours with the hands under the shoulders. Knees under the hips, where the left leg straightens back with the toes tucked under. And then you're going to slowly begin to lift that left leg, trying to hold that awareness that my hips are more or less leveled. As it lifts up, I'll do a little bounce and see how that maybe helps you to connect to the back of that left leg, stay with the straight leg, or bend the knee so the heel is now pointing up towards the ceiling, the sole of the foot, and bouncing from here, little bounces. Upper back stays broad, eyes soft. And then begin to hug that left knee to your chest. Bring it in, round the back. And then where can the toes step onto the mat? So somewhere to the left of the right knee, and begin to send your bum back towards the right heel, any amount. Again, feeling the upper section of that back body. Breathing a big breath into the back of the lungs. And then you could begin to already walk the hands a little bit over to the right as you bring your hips forward, you step your left foot forward, you have your hands inside that left foot. And we started to move forward and back. So like a half split motion. And then next time when the leg comes straight or straight-ish, point the toes and flex the toes. Do that once more. Point the toes, flex the toes, roll the toes inward, roll the toes outward. What do you feel? Do that once more. Roll the toes inward. Where do you feel it? Roll the toes outward. What changes? And then begin to bring the foot back down onto the mat. Walk the right hand in line with it. Take your left hand behind your head. And so point your left elbow up towards the ceiling when you're in that lunge, knees bent. And as the left knee straightens, point the elbow downward, somewhere into that space between the right hand and the right knee. And so find your flow here. If you need to, again, your hand could be on a block. Your left knee does not have to go all the way straight. Remember that as well. I inhale, and I exhale, and I curl. One more. Perfect. And then when I'm forward, I'll take the left hand to the outside of the left foot, tuck the back toes, lift the back knee, bend a little bit into that back knee, so that you can find a bounce to bring the right foot forward. Bend both knees at first, so sink into that fold, and then slowly begin to straighten the left knee any amount, or hands on blocks. Give it some time, let yourself feel. Possibly walk the hands away from the left leg over towards the right and see what changes. Soften both knees as you center yourself. One more curling up with really soft knees, head dropping, arms heavy. But you curl up using the strength of your legs as you press them down. And when you're standing, then again, just take a little moment to kind of reorient yourself. Feel that left side, little wiggles here and there. Starting to adjust your stance to come to tippy toes, so a little bit of a balance challenge and nice strengthening for the ankles. Arms could float up or not. And then slowly, how slow can you make the descent? How slow can you make the descent? Little wobbles through the ankles. Once you have the heels on the ground, keep lowering by bending the knees, finding like a easeful chair. Feel free to adjust the width. Find that little bounce here. At one point you can let the arms go. And then can the bounce transfer over to the left leg? So slowly peeling the right foot off. Then we started to play with transferring some of the weight forward as the right leg goes back, the toes tap onto the mat. That might be where you let go of the bounce, and you play with, I call it the running man. So that toe taps, knee comes to chest. I like to send the right arm forward when the right leg goes back. And then when the right knee lifts, the left arm comes forward. And then remember, we can also play with more explosive speed. And it will just stimulate different fibers in the back of that left leg. Next time when the foot reaches back, it's going to find the ground. And then you're going to play with your stance for the pyramid pose so that the back heel can be grounded. Front knee can soften at first. Again, when you start to come forward, we want to come forward so the pelvis rolls forward rather than we rolling forward from the waist. It's for the purpose that's where we can access the lengthening for the back of that left leg. As the sit bone is moving up and away, this is going to stretch the back of the left leg. Ground the hands on something. You can stay wiggling and kind of finding your alignment by sensing into your ribs, into the position of your hips. And then I also draw your attention to that connection all the way from the sole of that left foot to the base of your skull. So making like minute tiny movements with your head, tiny, can help to release the very upper part of that back line. So you could explore little circles with your nose coming down, lifting. Give it one more breath. And then bend the left knee so you can step the right leg a little bit more back, step back to downward facing dog. And then keep it steady or keep it wiggling. And we'll go just one flow from here forward to plank, pausing in plank. Slow lowering down, so option to drop the knees or keep them up. When you're on the ground, lifting into a shalabhasana, so the hands could stay under the shoulders, both legs lift up, so that back line again, active. Then slowly lowering the feet, lowering the hands, pressing the tops of the feet down, and lifting towards a cobra. Different stimulation again for the back body. Give it a breath. And then lifting the hips, walking the hands under the shoulders, rounding the back, breathing into that back space that you created. And then exhale as you begin to lower. Let the bum come towards the heels for a moment, the forehead down onto the ground or to the backs of your hands. Take a nice long breath in. Take a steady long breath out. And then walk your hands back towards your knees. Curl up to sit on the backs of your heels. Lean over to one side to swing your legs forward. Let's come onto the back for just a couple of minutes. If you have longer, you can always take a little bit longer. As you're on your back, hug your knees in. And then straighten your legs up towards the ceiling. Keep them kind of like floppy and shake them out. You can take your arms up as well and shake them out as well. And then letting the legs drop, letting the arms drop. Finding the right distance for the legs, maybe a little bit more of a wiggle through the upper body. Finding the place for the hands and arms, even if we stay for a couple of minutes, a shorter resting moment, just finding the comfort, finding the placement of the limbs, letting your head roll. Letting a couple of breaths like really wash through the whole body, as if the inhale comes in through the soles of the feet, travels up through the legs, through the torso, all the way to the crown of the head, and then exhale, washes back out. And just like we practice little snippets of relaxing one part of the body and the other part of the body, then see if you can sense the wholeness of your body, and then the wholeness of the body supported by ground, so that you can really let the weight of your body drop. Maybe there's little pulsations, little currents, little tinglings that you feel internally, so letting yourself be with the subtle body sensations. Let us have a couple of moments in stillness, in silence, for this integration moment. As you hear my breath, my voice coming in, see if you want to stay for a little bit longer. So if you can, stay here. If you know that this was the time you had, start to slowly find a kind way, slow way to begin to transition. It's nice to have one more still moment when you're more upright in seated. We did a check-in in the beginning of the practice, so having a little moment here. How do you sense yourself, your body, your breath? And then if you have a gesture you want to add here as a seal to your practice, or to set an intention that ripples out into your day. Thank you so much for being here.